What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Game Time. It's Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth. Barth, happy draft week. We have almost made it, literally 48 hours away as we are recording this Tuesday at 8 p.m. here. So almost there. We're going to pivot the show to you guys. We get to yell at you. You had some mock drafts submitted over on Twitter. We'll get to go through those. And before we get into that, we're just going to kind of reset here after, been gone a few days. Lots going on, a lot in the news. Things are swirling, misinformation, what's real, what's not. A lot is going on. Seems like some of the most recent stuff is a lot of trade talk. I just saw Baldy on Twitter saying he expects this big trade inside the top 5. Teams are calling the Browns and Giants trying to move up, or maybe those teams are trying to move down. Feels like a lot of people want to move down, but feels like there could be some movement in that top 5. And I think it was Peter Schrager who kind of started it, specifically saying Hunter, Carter, and Genty teams wanted to trade up for. So that's 3 guys after Cam Ward. Maybe that leads to the Patriots getting some calls there at number 4. So how are you just feeling right now about that number 4 overall pick? And do you think they could be on the move here with a potential trade option?
I'd love it. I'm not saying I don't want it, because I do. I hate to be the wet blanket here, but this is what this week is. Teams are going to call and see what the value is. That's what you do. That's doing your due diligence. I don't think this all amounts to much. I don't think this all ends up amounting to that much, at least not about 4. Maybe later on it does. Are the Patriots really going to take Genty? If you're a team, you don't move up there. It's Jacksonville that you really need to sway. I think the top 4 is going to stay the top 4. I'd love for that to change. I really would. And I don't necessarily feel strongly about that. This draft is really weird. Something weird is going to happen. I put out a mock draft on Monday that I was very tempted to have the Patriots moving back to 10 with the Bears moving up for Genty. That was before all of this came out. It didn't feel realistic enough at the time. Maybe I should have waited a day to publish it, but this is kind of what this week is. It's a lot of noise because teams are doing their due diligence. And we're 4 months into this thing and people need stuff to talk about. So just calling and checking in becomes a story, but I'm not ruling anything out. I don't look at this as suddenly the tides are changing, though. I think you're just getting teams calling around because that's what they do this time of year.
Yep. Where's the spot, if they do move down? Is there a spot where is too far for you? And obviously a lot of it kind of depends on the return package, right? But you hear a lot now that, maybe the Bears could be the team moving up for Genty, saying Jacksonville, people even have them going up from like 5 to 2 to get Travis Hunter. But is Chicago that spot where you would look to kind of move down and, you fall to 10? So, is Will Campbell, is your top tackle gone? Probably. But, then there's still the Kelvin Banks, the Armand Membous, or, Jalen Walker. Like, is there a spot where you're like, okay, if they do go down, like that's a good range and not too far to go?
I mean, you still got to get a starting left tackle, right? So somewhere in there, can you get that in the late teens? I'd love for them to get the future first-round pick. Obviously, like you said, it's all dependent on price. I don't think they have to stay in the top 10. I think they have to really get blown away to move further back, and that's, future first territory for me. But I wouldn't – if they walk away from this draft with the future first, I'd be pretty happy.
Definitely. Yeah, especially in this draft. So we'll see if any of that smoke turns to flame. And I think you've mentioned this a couple times throughout the past few weeks, like Bill Belichick on Pat McAfee last year saying, like, careful with all these leaks, right? Because this is what teams want you to hear. It's what agents want you to hear. The real stuff starts to come out about, what do you say, 15 hours? 12 hours before the start of it on Thursday. So right now, it could be a lot of misinformation, a lot of smoke screens out there. But was there any other news inside that top 5, top 10 from over the weekend or the last few days that stood out to you?
Not particularly. I just think with the trade, there'll be a whole new cycle tomorrow. Yeah. But I'm not seeing it. I think it's more likely Shedeur Sanders goes 3 if there is a shakeup. And I'm not saying either of these things are likely, but if there is a shakeup, I would say it's Shedeur Sanders going 3 more likely than the trade. But again, if I'm the Patriots and I'm moving back, they're going to be hard to get this year. I want the future pick. Like, I'll pull this up. Somebody on Twitter says 4 for 1039 in either future third or Cole Kmet. Future third, no brainer. There's been this obsession with trying to get that extra tight end, whether it was Michael Mayer from the Raiders, Cole Kmet. I've seen this one. I don't not like Cole Kmet, but the idea behind the future pick, and this is what I'm telling teams on the phone if I'm negotiating. If you want me to move back this year, fine. You got to give me a way to move up next year. Cole Kmet's not helping you move up next year. Does a third help you really leapfrog a ton? No, it doesn't. But they have an extra third this year, and look at how much flexibility it gives them when we're talking about trading back up into the first round. It's that future pick. That's the question. That's what you're really chasing if you're going to move back.
Yep. Are the Bears trading Cole Kmet? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I feel like Patriots fans just love asking for the team's second tight end.
Fair. That's very fair. So, so we'll see over. Oh, here's another good one. Someone just said, would you consider being one of those teams that calls Cleveland or New York about trading up for Hunter, or Jeffrey says Hunter, or put Abdul Carter in that mix, moving up a spot to 3 there too?
No, because it's going to take that future asset, and there will be other good receivers in the draft next year, other good pass rushers in the draft next year. If the Browns and Giants are sold on Hunter and Carter, they're going to take them. I don't think you're going to trade that pick because nobody's going to offer what that pick's going to be worth. If they're not sold on them, you don't need to trade for the pick because you're waiting there at 4 to get whoever falls. So it's kind of a like logistically, what's the point? You're either going to have to give up way more than the pick is worth for a player who's not that kind of prospect, or you can just wait and let them fall to you. So I'd love for them to get Hunter or Carter. For what it's going to cost them, it's not worth it. Just wait and see if they fall. And if one of them falls, take them, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not to say I don't want them. But again, logistically, it just really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. It would probably be, I guess the counterpoint would be like, if the Giants aren't sold, then they're probably going to shop that pick to someone. So someone else is going to come up and jump you and then just take them at 2 or 3. So you'd have to beat the other team that's trying to jump in front of you to move up there. But yeah, like how much they're going to want a future, day 2 pick.
At least, if not a future first. If they're not sold on Carter and they're not taking a quarterback, they're not going to, or early, they're not going to care how far they move back. They'll go back to 7, 8, 9, 10.
Exactly.
So the value of that 4th overall pick moving from 3 to 4, there was a player they really liked. They just probably take him at 3 unless somebody blows them away. And the Patriots just aren't in a position to make that big of an offer.
Yep. Get in a bidding war, especially again with when you start talking about future picks, like that's a big no. But all right, those are the kind of recent rumors going around. Again, 48 hours, so we'll see what the new wave brings in tomorrow. But let's pull up here some of your guys' mock drafts. This is over on the Patriots CLNS on Twitter. So if anyone is watching and wants to submit a late one, we might be able to squeak a few extra ones in as well for anyone listening live. But we can go through them right down the line here. First one, you're going to feel, I don't know how you're going to feel about this. Josh Simmons and Donovan Jackson. We're trading down with Chicago. Looks like we get a future 2nd and 3rd. And then, so Josh Simmons, Donovan Jackson, we're building the Ohio State left side of the offensive line. We're adding Luther Burden, Harold Fannin, Makuba, Deion Walker. So I know you're out on Josh Simmons. You're not huge on Fannin, but Makuba and Walker, 2 of your guys.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'm mixed on this one. I like the return. I like the 2nd and 3rd. Like, you're in good position to move back up. I like tackle guard off the rip. I've said that. I do. And I really like Luther Burden for them. I obviously like Makuba and Deion Walker. If the medicals are clean on Simmons, which I don't know. It's a big wild card. If the medicals are clean on Simmons, I'd take this. That'd be great. If they're not, just throw Kelvin Banks in there at 10 if he's still on the board over Simmons. You go Banks, Jackson. Now, I don't think they're going to take Luther Burden. I don't think he's going to be on their board. I think they are going to, just because of some of the personality stuff, I don't think he's what they're looking for. But I would love for them to take him. Like, I don't love the fact that I think he's out. But if Simmons is healthy, or if you swap Simmons and Banks, this would be solid. Like, I wouldn't hate this. I don't love Harold Fannin, but I see what you're going for there.
Yeah. I mean, getting the 2 linemen and then Luther Burden all in the top 40, like
that'd be great. Yeah,
that's a good haul to really start things off. The Makuba, we both like a lot. Deion Walker.
I think he's going to go higher than that. I think he's one of these guys that's going to go like a round and a half higher that's projected.
Didn't someone say on Twitter like he could be top 50, Makuba?
I heard I heard from an evaluator who said that he might be a top 25 player in this draft.
Top
and
25.
That the reason people might be down on him is he's a little scheme specific. Not every team is going to like him, but if you're a team that employs that role in their defense, which we think the Patriots are, he's one of the best players in this draft. That's just what I heard from one person.
Yeah.
I do buy the him being rated lower because he's kind of scheme specific. Like, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Right. He's lower in the consensus boards because evaluators of some teams aren't going to have him as high because it doesn't make sense for their teams. If you were to poll just the teams that use a true free safety, I think he's a top 50 player. Top 25, I was taken aback a little bit, but
yeah, top 25 is.
Yep.
But yeah, he's definitely that role. He's probably the best in the class at doing that. So I like that one. Here we go. We got a Will Campbell one.
All right.
Will Campbell at 4. No trades in this one. I like it.
You have to
Will
click
Campbell
that again to
Will
blow
Campbell
it up. That's a little small.
Let's. That better?
I think if you just click it, it blows it up, right? Like, click the picture.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
All right.
Perfect.
Will Campbell at 4. Excuse me. We got Jalen Knoll, 38. Jack Sawyer, 69. And then Dylan Sampson, Jacob Parrish, Stutzman, Evans, Kendall, Sauls, 4 guys in the back end that we've touched a good amount on. A lot of Patriots visits, guys they've been interested in too as well. But I could see, Campbell and Knoll, I think I could see that going at the top of the draft. Sampson, I've talked a lot about being in the mix for those 3rd-round picks. And Edge from Ohio State, that's obviously on the radar. So a lot of the positions and kind of the order, I could kind of see that unfolding as well.
This is eerily similar to a mock draft I'm going to post tomorrow. Somebody's copying my homework. I think Sawyer at 69, Parrish at 106, Evans at 171, Kendall at 220 might not be the most respecting the board draft. I think those guys are all probably a slot later than where they should be. But overall, I would say this is a really good understanding of what the board looks like for the Patriots, what they're kind of going to be focusing on. Again, I've met with a lot of these players. This feels, in terms of the realism factor, I think they did a very good job here.
Yeah, definitely realistic. I wouldn't like Jack Sawyer that high. I agree that could be an edge spot.
That high?
At 69? Yeah, I don't like him at 69.
I don't think he's going to be on the board at 69. I think he'll be gone. Yeah, I think he's going to go on the 50.
Actually, I'm just not day 2. There's a lot of other day 2 edges I would prefer over Jack Sawyer. That's where I'm kind of coming at it from. But other than that, again, a lot of guys we've touched on. Jacob Parrish, I love a lot in the nickel spot. Kendall, Evans, Sauls. Yeah, I think that's a good one. That's
solid draft.
Good haul. Nice job, Zach, even though you stole it from Barth, apparently.
There's some differences.
Okay, we got a few coming in, too, as we're going. Campbell hype is fake. Jason says, no way Vrabel and Wolf are leaking that much. Higgins is a top 5 wide receiver. So he goes Armand Membu at 4, Jaden Higgins at 38, and then Dylan Sampson at 69, and CJ West, 3-round mock. Finish it off on the defensive line there. So do you think Membu's still in play as a potential option there at tackle at 4? We heard Vrabel at the league meetings basically say, we see him and he can play left tackle. Doug Marrone talked about guys switching sides. So do you think they're closed on Membu yet, or do you think that's still a potential option?
I'm not closing the door entirely. I'd be a little surprised, but I don't think it's impossible. This is just, it's a lot. I like Sampson. Higgins is a projection. Membu's a projection. CJ West is a projection. You're taking some big swings here. If they work out, you're going to have a hell of a draft. But you're taking some big swings here.
Yeah. Again, though, like the positions got that down.
Right.
I still like Membu. I'd be perfectly fine with that if they wanted to do that at the top of the draft. I like him a lot. So, yeah, I could see that going. Higgins get the size, speed at receiver. That'd be a pretty good start. Another Campbell one. This looks pretty similar to our last mock draft.
Yeah.
Campbell, Scorton, Kyle Williams to start. Harvey, Parrish, Stutzman, Kendall in there again in the later rounds. Again, tackle, edge, receiver, running back, all, in the first 3 rounds. Parrish. What do you like?
So I mean, I like the top. Campbell, Scorton, Williams is a good start. RJ Harvey too. Jacob Parrish. I wonder if you could flip those. I think those might be more likely to go the other way around. This is, I think, the second or third one we've looked at that is Danny Stutzman. We have not talked nearly as much about Danny Stutzman as I maybe would have liked to during this process. I think he's a good fit for what they want to do. I don't know that he's that ideal like 3-down linebacker, but they have a bunch of guys that do that. I would like to see them add kind of a bigger run-stopping running back to play situationally, a guy that can contribute on special teams as well. Stutson has good size, but he's athletic for his size, so I think he's a good like crossover, and he'll be available in a range where you could realistically take that player. I think, yeah, they're taking him at 144 here. That you get like a rotational defender and core special teams player at 144. That's not a bad pick. That's a guy that's going to contribute for all 4 years, just around the top 150. We should have talked more about Danny Stutzman leading up. I like Danny Stutzman, and I'm glad to see him in a couple of these mocks.
Yeah, I like him. He was first team SEC this year, I believe, and it might have been consensus.
That sounds right.
Consensus. I might be able to pull it up. Stutzman. Yeah, first team SEC, consensus All-American. So athletic, but he can play the run. Like he can come downhill, which, if they're going to these more athletic guys, you still need someone in there who can, come downhill in the gap, blow up a block, play the run. So he would be kind of a good mix to that while keeping some athleticism. And then, the top. I like RJ Harvey a lot as a back. We've touched a lot about Kyle Williams. So, first 3 picks were our last mock, so we can't complain too much about that. Then we had Parrish and Kendall. So,
yeah.
I'd like that. I would take that. That's a good one. Oh, yeah, and he also said every single one of those guys had a pre-draft meeting with the Patriots. So, again, keeping that one. Another similar one. Campbell, Donovan Jackson at the top. So, get the 2 offensive linemen. Kyle Williams, again, at 69. Femi. Everyone loves Jacob Parrish right there in the 4th round. And then Brashard Smith, pass-catching running back, second McLaughlin, and a kicker in Andres Borregales. So pretty similar mold. Again, couple offensive linemen, Kyle Williams, edge. I like Femi. That's a new name. I don't know if he'll be there at 77. Some teams were talking about him like the Commanders at the end of the 1st round.
There's a bunch of guys like Jalen Knowles, another one where you see him mocked at 38, you see him mocked at 69. I'm not going to, do I think he'll be there at 69? I don't know. I'm not going to call anybody on respecting the board for that because there's such a range, and like he's slot specific. It comes down to what teams want. Kind of like we just talked about Andrew McCuba. Like there's a lot of guys that have like a 40 to 50 pick range. If he's there, I'd say he fell to him, but I wouldn't say it's an unrealistic fall. I would say that's within an expectation.
Yep. And then at the bottom there, we took Smith in our last mock too, pass catching back. We've touched good amount on Seth McLaughlin coming off that Achilles, but maybe that's your long-term center. Is Borregales your best kicker available, or are you all team Ben Sauls?
I like Ben Sauls better, but they're going to like, from just reading the tea leaves what Jeremy Springer said, I think they're going to like Borregales better. But they should sign Matt Gay, and it shouldn't matter. So
that's very true.
I'm actually team them not drafting a kicker. And that's me.
I just don't think like using a draft pick. I mean, 7th round, 238 is whatever, but
yeah,
you don't need to draft a kicker any earlier than the 7th round, or just sign one as a UDFA. Like I don't get wasting a resource of any value, if it's a 5th or 6th rounder there. I'd rather just sign Matt Gay. I'm with you on that, or pick one in the 7th, or UDFA, preferably UDFA, and let them battle this thing out. But yeah, if you can get the proven Matt Gay, I would absolutely do that. That would be my main choice there. So, but I like it. Another good one. Before we continue with some of the others, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Game Time. It is playoff season in the basketball world and over at the TD Garden. And we use Game Time to get our tickets to the game. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier because they filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game 2, Magic at Celtics. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 7 o'clock tip. Doesn't look like Jason Tatum is going to play. Doubtful with that wrist injury, but still go to the game. Get to the Garden. Cheapest right now, $117 on the Game Time app. They have a zone deal behind the basket, or you can move way down, fire up a super deal. Let's see what we got. $299, $266. There we go. Another zone deal in the lower level. 5-6 rows up right behind the visitor basket to start. $266. An amazing deal, amazing zone deal there. So make sure you head to Game Time for their lowest price guaranteed and other in-app features such as seat views, all-in pricing, and again, Game Time Picks, which makes it even easier to save more on all your tickets and take the guesswork out of buying your playoff tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. All right, back to the mocks. Let's see what else. We got some coming in again. No screenshot. Arthur's just typing it all out for us. Will Campbell. He would trade up from 38 for Mike Green or Gray Zabel. He says 2 kind of new names, but it doesn't look like he did because he took Luther Burden in the second, Ozzie Trapillo in the third, RJ Harvey, David Walker, 3 interior defenders, pick your poison, Arian Smith, Jackson Hawes, and Borregales again there to wrap things up. So Campbell, Burden again, Trapillo. We haven't really talked about him in the last couple mocks we've done. So you still in on maybe Trapillo there in the third round?
I'm in on him. I just think he might go higher. They're not going to take him at 38. And I think he might be gone by 69. So I think they take him if he was there. I don't know if he's going to be there. Mike Green, I don't think is going to be on their board with his history, his background, their history. I don't think Luther Burden is either. I talked about that. As much as I want Luther Burden to be on their board, I don't think he's going to be on their board. But Will Campbell, Gray Zabel to start would be great. I mean, you're in great shape on the line. That'd be excellent. Like RJ Harvey, give me JJ Pegues with that 5th round pick. Jackson Hawes, you get a blocking tight end. There's some nice situational players there at the end. This one's solid. I'd have to see who he takes instead of Burden. Or I guess if we're calling that Gray Zabel, this one's solid. But I don't know. I feel like it's maybe a playmaker short.
Yeah. Get some speed with Arian Smith, but
that's true.
Like
he's kind of a gadget player. He might be a running back, honestly.
Yeah, you're not projecting him to solve all your wide receivers and be a high volume player in that room. Like
he kind of reminds me of Isaiah Zuber.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a
throwback name right there. But
shout out Isaiah Zuber.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some intriguing guys down low there. You would trade up for Gray Zabel?
Would I?
Yeah.
I might. I don't know that I would do like the Duggar trade to go up to 24 and get him. If I can get to like 28, 29, 30, and it's 38, 106 and a future 4th, I'd probably do that. Because if Zabel's still there, like I think you'll get one, and you probably won't get to choose. You're definitely not getting all 3. But I think you get one of Tyler Booker, Gray Zabel, Donovan Jackson at 38, or if you have trade up like slightly in the second. I don't know if they need to be too aggressive if that's the plan, but I do like that plan.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go Lyman, I don't think I would trade up just because you said there's a few guys that you'd be comfortable with in that range. So I'd probably just see who falls to 38 there. But yeah, I could see that. So another good one. All right, let's go to, we got the ones coming in from the chat here now. Here we go. We're really trading down.
Whoa.
Can you see that, or is it too small?
That is too small. You have to zoom in here.
Zoom in.
All right. Well, we have a Colton Miller trade right off the rip, so this one's not happening.
We got to we're moving all over the board here in the first round. I like it. You move down 2 spots for Colton Miller.
Yeah.
And then you move back from 6 to 20 to go with Denver, and you get their 120, 385, and a future first. You pick Matthew Golden, and then you trade up from 38 to pick Jalen Walker, who's on the board at 21.
There's not a lot of respecting the board going on here.
So, I mean, it's a nice first round haul. You leave with
it'd be great.
Colton Miller, Matthew Golden, Jalen Walker, and a future first. I would take that, but
it'd be great. But I don't, for a number of reasons. Judkins, even at 69, should be gone. Like Trapillo, the first respecting the board pick here is Quinn Ewers makes an appearance. Yeah, I don't know about that one. It'd be great, even with Ewers. For all that at the top, you're out because of Quinn. I will gladly take Quinn Ewers to get everything they get at the top there. Matthew Golden, Jalen Walker, and Colton Miller, and Quinshawn Judkins, and Ozzie Trapillo, and a future first. Yeah, I'll take on the burden of Quinn Ewers for all of that. Reunite him with Matthew Golden. I would gladly take on Quinn Ewers for all that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Fair. Interesting roller coaster there, James. Campbell, Knoll, Trapillo, Parrish. I mean, we've touched on most of these guys.
Yeah.
Jaw Joyner, Bryson Nesbitt. You still in on Nesbitt late round?
Yeah. And I'm in on Joyner too. I think he's the kind of guy that this coaching staff can get something out of.
All right. Can't see the trade, but Will Campbell, Ezeraku, I think he's going to be a first round pick. I don't think he's going to be there at 38.
I think so too.
Definitely would be interested if he falls there to 38.
Savonai is a solid pick. Mason Taylor. I think Mason Taylor might be a first round pick.
Yeah.
He's not getting a 77 because he's probably going to be the third tight end to go. So you figure Warren's going to go top 10. Loveland might go top 15. We going 30 picks, 40 picks without a tight end. We going 20 picks without a tight end.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Sampson, Pierce, Holland Pierce, we've talked a lot about. Pat Bryant, Drew Kendall, Marcus Yarns. Is Taylor still in on Pat Bryant? I know that was his first draft crush.
I don't know. He's not Ashton Genty, so I don't think Taylor has time for anybody that's not Ashton Genty right now.
You never forget your first draft crush, though.
He is diving like head first into the Genty stuff. If they draft Ashton Genty, I'll be happy for Taylor. I won't love the pick, but I'll be happy for Taylor.
He got late Ashton Genty pilled. I don't know what did it.
I remember you guys all yelling me back in October for even suggesting it could be an outcome, Taylor included, and now he's all into it. See, I go through these phases by the time like the college football playoff hits, so I'm good.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Campbell, Higgins, Makuba, Trapillo.
Great.
Terrence Ferguson.
Terrence Ferguson at 106 is a good pick. I like that.
Yeah, I'm a Terrence
also
Ferguson
mixing in
guy.
Ryan Fitzgerald, different kicker.
Trevor Etienne. I like him. I don't know, 220. Maybe.
That's low. And you know what? If he goes that low, it means that there's a red flag from his legal stuff.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I don't know if they're going to take him.
You a Nick Nash guy?
I don't know. He just hasn't popped for me. Not really. If they're going to take like a flyer on one of those Mountain West receivers late, give me Ricky White, because at least I know he's going to be a special teams demon.
Yeah.
And then if he develops as a wide receiver, great. If he doesn't, whatever. But he's going to be really good on special teams.
Yeah.
And that's me talking about guys in the 200s. I'm not taking him that
high. Campbell Booker, O-line, Jack Sawyer.
This team is freaking mean. Holy crap. You want to talk about violence. You want to talk about violent football. Will Campbell, violent. Tyler Booker, Jack Sawyer, Devin Neal. You're cracking helmets.
Savion Williams, too, kind of like.
Yeah, I don't love the Savion Williams pick, and I think he'd rather run around guys than run over him. He can run over him, but like those first 4 guys are all punch in your mouth kind of guys. Those are first off the bus kind of guys. So that'd be fun. How well would it work? I mean, you're probably going to run the ball a lot, but it'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun. And a lot of teams getting the crap beat out of him coming into Foxborough.
Booker and Onwenu, that whole O-line would be ferocious. Campbell,
That's
Booker,
what I'm saying. Like,
Onwenu, and Moses.
I said this on the radio this morning that, like, I wouldn't hate if they went tackle guard off the top. And I think some people were, like, thrown by it. Maybe some of them because they think Will Campbell's a guard. But, like, drafting Will Campbell as a tackle and then taking a guard, you're turning the offensive line around if you hit on those picks. It's not just going to be functional. You're going to have a plus offensive line. What a concept, right? Like, I don't know that it's the best way to go about it. I don't know if we've even talked about it much on this show, Brian. I know I've talked about it on other shows.
We did it when we had Taylor on to do a mock. I forget.
Okay.
It might have been 4.0 before the wheel. We did lineman. I think we did Membu.
Oh, do we do Membu and Jackson?
Jackson, I think. Yeah.
So, like, again, is it the best way to go about it? I don't know. You know, what wide receivers, what edge rushers are there if you take tackle at the top, but, like, you're certainly improving an important area of your team that needs to be improved. Like, you're making for a team that has not made a legitimate investment in the offensive line in years, like the closest they've, and not including Morgan Moses this year, I'm talking about before this offseason, like the closest they've come to making a legitimate investment in the offensive line is drafting Cole Strange in the first round. They didn't sign any big name free agents. They didn't draft any players high, none of that. For a team that has ignored those positions for years, it's righting a wrong. It would be righting a wrong if they go tackle guard off top. Now, I think you can get a starting guard in this draft. You can maybe even get a starting guard at 106. So I don't know that they need to do it to turn everything around. And there's some good centers later too, but it would send a message. That's for sure.
Yep. We went Membu, Donovan Jackson, and then we got our pass catchers. We got Mason Taylor. I think that was a Taylor pick at 69, and then Jalen Knoll at 77, who probably won't be there at this point. But, you know, that would maybe be the path. If you do that, then you load up on your pass catchers in the third and fourth rounds and mix those in. So that was how we did that. But here we go. They heard us talking about Genty. Genty one.
Here we go. We had to get a Genty one in here.
Move up. We haven't seen the move up for the Josh or a tackle, probably because everyone's picking them at 4. But Genty, Josh Connerly, double up Chapio, another double up Ohio State with Sawyer McLaughlin, Dante Thornton, Ben Sauls, your guy Brady Cook to round that out. Genty at 4, Connerly. I mean, yeah, Connerly definitely feel like that.
The only thing I'd say, like, and I've said this, if they are going to take Genty at 4, you have to really hammer home the offensive line afterwards. I don't think the problem is, like, our Connerly and Trapillo probably aren't both playing. You got to take Connerly there. You got to get the left tackle, but, like, how about, like, Tate Ratledge or Wyatt Milam instead of Trapillo, so that you have somebody who's going to compete for that left guard spot and you just elevate the line a little more. Besides that, though, like, if they're going to draft Genty, this is probably about what it should look like. If they're going to have that kind of draft, I would just, nothing against Ozzie Trapillo. I just think you want to try to grab a guard there and get somebody who's going to help in the run game right away. I'd also, if they draft Genty, like, and maybe they get him as a UDFA, throw Robbie Oots or some fullback in there.
Dante Thornton, you a fan as a late round receiver flyer?
Yeah, like right there, 171. I don't know that I'm taking him higher than that. I'm probably not, but he's not Tyquan. Like, he's different. That doesn't necessarily mean he's good, but they need speed. They need size. He's big. He's fast. He only runs 3 routes, but if you just need somebody at the X to clear out and keep teams honest deep, at 171, I'll take the chance that he can do that at a capable level, especially if you have a guy like Ashton Genty. Because if you have Genty and he's the player you think he's going to be, if you're taking him at 4, teams are going to want to stack the box. So you're going to have more one-on-ones on the outside. You're going to have more single safety coverage. Like, this team in this specific scenario, like, if you draft Ashton Genty, it's almost like drafting a quarterback. Like, let me rephrase that. If they draft Will Campbell, if they draft Jalen Walker, like, they're going to have to get a tackle somewhere else. So they don't take Campbell, but, like, it doesn't necessarily change the direction of the franchise. If you're taking Ashton Genty 4th overall, it should change the direction that you're operating, because your next steps need to be maximizing that player and maximizing Drake May, but it's kind of one and the same. So Dante Thornton's an interesting fit with this draft specifically, where you're going to face a lot of stack boxes. You're going to be run heavy. So you kind of want that burner on the outside because ideally you're going to be able to get him one-on-one coverage. And if you can just be faster than the guy, he's going to have opportunities. That was the thing with Tyquan Thornton, part of the thing. He also couldn't stay healthy because he weighed 160 pounds. But, like, they lost their threat of the run game because the outside zone didn't work. So teams were just having a safety sit over the top, and his speed was useless.
Yeah.
So if Genty is the player you think he is, and Connerly, and you get a guard there, and you get that run game going, it's going to open up opportunities for a player like Dante Thornton.
Ideally, maybe like a bulked up Nelson Aguilar, right? Who you
it's not a bad comp.
Put out there and just say run fast, run fast and straight. We'll see what happens.
How about I'm trying to remember how big he was. How big was Brashad Perryman?
I thought he was on the bigger side.
Oh yeah, he's 6'3", 215. Yeah, there's a comp for you. Brashad Perryman was a first-round pick, but and I love Brashad Perryman. I always want to see him on the Patriots. I didn't see him with Brady for a little bit. That was fun. Kind of a Brashad Perryman comp. That, like, if he can become that at 171, that would be as good of a wide receiver pick as they've had in a while. Perryman's best year, he caught 36 passes for 645 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Did he really?
Yeah, wow. That was in Tampa with Jameis. His rookie year, we didn't play his rookie year because he was hurt, but like his first year in the NFL, 33 catches for 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. If a Patriots rookie put up 500 yards at receiver, the bar has been lowered, but like I think we'd be pretty freaking happy.
That was Pop, right? Wasn't Pop?
No, Pop was like, wasn't Pop like 700? Or was that last year? I might be thinking last year.
Maybe last year. I didn't think it was.
No, you're right. 561, 621 last year. So
yeah.
But this is at the X. They've had some slot guys. This would be at the X.
Yeah. If you got a 600 yard, 6 touchdown guy at pick 171, I would absolutely take that. So
yeah.
Interesting. I think we have a couple more coming in. We had a few more Ashton Genty lovers. This one's pretty similar. Genty, Connerly, Femi, Knoll, Pegues, Fairchild. We've hit on most of those guys. Let's see.
Was that a Genty one with a double up at running back?
Oh, was it?
I think I saw Marcus Yarns at the end there.
Oh yeah. The double up.
Evan might explode.
You talked about that. Yet your speed and power.
Doubling up a running back when I was Genty.
Yeah, true. Where was right here. Another Genty one. Genty, Josh Simmons. You move up a few spots in the second. Josh Simmons 35, Kyle Williams 69, Fairchild. So there you go. You get Genty and then Simmons and Fairchild to help your offensive line, assuming Simmons, whenever he's healthy. Williams is your pass catcher. Kyle Kennard on the edge. Helm, Kobe Bryant, Ty Hamilton, Holland Pierce, Hook, Lindenberg.
I have some questions about respecting the board here, but it's a good class.
Yeah. Is that that's your Genty? Like that would be the path for you? Tackle, guard.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting Simmons at 35, but yes, in theory, yeah. Like if they go Genty, tackle, guard, next 2 picks, that's what I want to see. Honestly, I wouldn't hate it if they go tackle guard individually, but Genty, I think you got to go tackle guard after and really get that run game ready. Because you're going to be basing everything off play action. So you're going to be scheming receivers open. You can get by with a little less there, at least initially. Eventually you'd add. But I think you're just looking to get that run game to be impactful, not just functional, but impactful. So you can create play action off of that. And you're not going to do that. As good as Genty is, you're not going to do that with the offensive line they have right now.
All right, we got 2 more that came in, both Will Campbell, but some names we haven't touched on. Landon Jackson, edge, top of the second round there. IU Maynor, wide receiver in the 3rd round. Malachi Moore, Black, Borgalis again. So Landon Jackson.
Black, good run stopper. Wouldn't hate that. Landon Jackson is an interesting one. I feel like they might want more speed coming off the edge, but yeah, if they want, like, he reminds me a ton of, and it's not just Arkansas. He reminds me a lot of Dietrich Wise.
Yeah.
So if they want that kind of player, I do sneaky like A.O. Manor. I think he's going to go higher than that, but I don't hate him for them. Malachi Moore is a really good pick. I don't hate this draft at all.
Yeah, I like Malachi Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm not similar like Jack Sawyer. There's probably some more athletic edges that I would like over Landon Jackson at that spot, but you can see the vision. And then I.O. Manor, I like him as well, but 77 might be pushing it a little bit. But
so.
now,
if you want Trey Harris, like if you want an X receiver there, I think Trey Harris is probably your guy.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
I like A.O. Manor better, but at 77, I don't know if he's going to be there.
All right, we had one last one.
I've got one more too after that. Somebody sent me one that I think we should put up because it's interesting.
LSU double up. Will Campbell, Mason Taylor trade down from 38 to 49. So again, I don't know if Mason Taylor...
hate this. I again, A.O. Manor, that's going to be somebody else just because I don't think he's going to get there. But I like Judkins. Taylor, that's probably as late as you're getting him, but I'll allow it. I'll say that's within reason. That's fun draft.
Yeah.
That's a fun draft. Not bad. All right, you want to see some?
Yeah.
What we got? Hold this up because it was like DM to me. Can you see that?
Let me take that off.
There we go. Okay, so you're trading down to 21. Hang on,
if you hold it up, I can see it and I can read it.
Okay.
So you trade down to 21 and you take Tet.
Yeah, you get Pittsburgh's future first.
Okay, yeah. Ursary at 38, Trapio, Makuba in the 60s, Sawyer 77, Scadaboo in the 90s, Josiah Stewart, JJ Pegues, Mitchell Evans, LaQuint Allen, and Brady Cook, of course, to wrap it off.
And you got a future second in there too. Future first, future second. I don't love Tet. I'd take that draft.
That was Tet at 21, right? It was
you get Tet at 21 with the future first. Ursary and Trapillo, so you have long-term starters at both tackles. Makuba, Sawyer, Scadabo to round out the top 100. So you get a good free safety, a couple of attitude guys on each side of the ball. Josiah Stewart's.
That's just the Barth round right there.
Makuba,
right. Scadabo.
Josiah Stewart at 106, you get speed rusher. JJ Pegues, so you get a defensive tackle and your fullback. I like Mitchell Evans, gives you a tight end. You have two good pass catching backs, so Scadabo and LaQuint Allen, and then Brady Cook, plus the two future first. This was done with me in mind. This was somebody trying to get my approval, minus the Tet thing.
Yeah, but Tet at 21, that would be...
if they get a future first, take whoever you want in the first round. Especially if they get the tackle there somewhere, right? You get a future first and you walk out with the tackle. I don't really care what you do beyond that. That's great. That'd be great.
All right. Well, those are your mock drafts. Thanks for submitting those, everybody, and letting us go through them. That's it for mock drafts. Maybe we'll have to do a Bruins mock draft just because we'll be missing mock drafts so much in a month or two. But mock draft season over with, done with. Who's the pick? We'll sign off. Who's the pick?
Who is going to be the pick? It's going to be Will Campbell. I don't think they get the trade down in place. I don't think Shadir goes top 3. We're where we've been since September. It's Will Campbell.
Do you think there's too much smoke that it's Will Campbell, though, and they're just going to hit us with a complete curveball and go somewhere else? Or it wouldn't be probably a complete curveball. It would probably just be like a Jalen Walker or maybe a Membu. But
yeah, I don't think that like that Tyler Warren kind of twist is coming. It's the first ever pick for this new regime. I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be Will Campbell. Wouldn't be my first choice, but I feel like that is where it's headed. So we will call it there. I believe, what do we usually do for shows? We'll be on Friday.
So the plan will be at some point Friday. It's all going to be very fluid.
Yeah, it depends on because whoever the prospect or prospects will fly into Gillette. We'll talk to them. So we'll have to work around the schedule, but we'll be on Friday at some point to talk about round 1, to preview, day 2, and then we will go from there. So make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You want to turn on your notifications on Patriots Press Pass on YouTube so you're notified when any of us go live throughout the draft weekend. You can also follow Barth on Twitter at @RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com for his written draft coverage this week. And you can follow me on Twitter at @IamBrianHines and head over to patspulpit.com for our draft coverage there as well. Thanks, everyone. again for submitting your mocks, for tuning in with us tonight, and all of our pre-draft coverage over the last few months. And we will see you guys after the Patriots have made their first pick of the draft. See ya.